All right, folks, Mark back again. As you know, earlier I was talking about cholesterol and the relationship between cholesterol and testosterone, and how my phone battery died, so the video got disconnected. So I just want to do a quick continuation of that subject, and but this video is going to be pretty short. I'm gonna just keep it, finish it up from the previous video. So, as you know, I was saying, if you have have a daughter, but if you have a son and you're raising a son and you notice that your son behaves feminine and he's 7, 6, 8, 9, let's not stigmatize him with any labels, because it is purely biological at this point. There is no orientation. That a 6-year-old doesn't have a sexual orientation. A 7-year-old doesn't have a sexual orientation. Now we can be ignorant and say, oh yes, they do. Well, scientifically, proven, like, they don't. At 6 years old, 5 years old, a child is not, his sexual awareness in terms of orientation is not developed yet, and I can prove that. But it's another comment. I'll make another video on that. And I will bring evidence and empirical data to prove that a 6-year-old does not have sexual orientation, no matter what we say in our ignorance. But the point that I'm making is this: so you see a 6, 7, 8-year-old boy, 9-year-old child that is behaving effeminate. Let's not label that child. Let's not do that. It is purely a biological malfunctioning, and that can be proven if you study the endocrine system and how it operates. If you looked at my previous video, I talked about testosterone and estrogen. They're not mutually exclusive to a gender. I'll say that again. Testosterone and estrogen are not mutually exclusive to a gender. Each gender has both hormones. Each gender has both testosterone and estrogen. The only difference is degree and proportion. Obviously, in males, the degree is higher of testosterone, in female, a higher degree of estrogen. But there are dysfunctions that happens within the endocrine at times. It could be innate, something you're born with, inherited, or the chemicals around your home, some foods that you might have been exposed to. But be that as it may be, it's still some kind of malfunction or dysfunction within the endocrine. And what I mean by that is you have what's called the gonadotropins, gonadotropin, which are located in the anterior pituitary gland. Right, they're located within the anterior portion, the interior of the pituitary gland. So the reason why I said exercising is an excellent, if you have a 9-year-old son and you notice that he likes to play with dolls and he behaves with more effeminate traits and characteristics, all that means is that he has low levels of testosterone. That's it. It's that simple, but we overcomplicate it with our our own thwarted way of thinking. But it's really just the low level of testosterone production, and this happens. It's common. It's a very common thing in the medical world. So low levels of testosterone and if you have a 9, 8, 10-year-old boy with low levels of testosterone, that means he will have higher levels of estrogen, which will account for his mannerism and his behavior, right? So and estrogen, like I mentioned before, estrogen goes hand in hand with feminine energy. So he will naturally show feminine energy because of the imbalance in the testosterone and estrogen thresholds. So here's the thing: exercising. I mean, dietary supplements are good too. Beef products, chicken products, protein, eggs, cheese, fish oil, certain vitamins, vitamin B. These are things that will help to increase testosterone. But the number one thing, if you have a son and you notice these things, the number one thing to increase testosterone levels is good old fashioned exercise, physical activity. And here's why: especially strenuous, not just like any kind of exercising, but really like intense exercise, particularly intense. And here's why: when you work out, when you exercise, I think everyone kind of have an idea. Your brain secretes all these different chemicals, right? And the basic common ones are like dopamine, serotonin. These are things that everybody knows. You release a lot of endorphins, dopamine, serotonin, oxytocin. What else? Adrenaline, obviously. Everyone kind of knows that. But what a lot of people don't understand, or a lot of us don't know, is that there's a part of the brain that there's a cell that's called a gonadotropin, which is located in the anterior pituitary gland, right? And the pituitary gland, when you exercise, right, your pituitary gland secretes, again, another chemical that's called luteinizing hormone. I mentioned it in the last video, LH. The LH, luteinizing hormone, the more of that the more of that your pituitary gland secretes, the more you secrete that. That works with the gonads, within the testes. And in the testes, there's something called the Leydig cells. The more LH that the pituitary gland is secreting, the more it's being transmitted to the gonads, which is the testes, to the Leydig cells. Your Leydig cells then takes, and I mentioned this before, converts the cholesterol that's in your body into testosterone. So the cholesterol, which is a fatty substance that's in your body, Leydig cells, because of the triggering of the LH, luteinizing hormone, works together to convert cholesterol into testosterone. And that has been shown, based off research and study and data, to be the most efficient way and the most proficient way and effective way and efficacious way to increase testosterone in boys, in men, or boys, male. And again, testosterone is, without going into too much details, everybody know what testosterone is, but we'll just say real quick, it's responsible for your manliness. All of your manliness, not just sexual energy and drive, but your entire manliness, your beard, your facial hair, your bone structure, your muscles. I mean, your voice, even your vocal. So testosterone is what gives you your whole mannerism as a man. So when you increase that the estrogen will have a inverse relationship. It will have an inverse relationship. So once you start to increase the testosterone, estrogen is going to come down. So it's going to be like this. It's going to go like that. One goes up, one goes down. So you have a inverse relationship between these two chemicals or hormones. And if you have a child that has an imbalance where estrogen is up here, testosterone is down here, and you start to do you see what's happening? So that child is going to start acting more like a boy, not a man, because he's not a man yet, but he's going to start acting more like a boy because his testosterone levels are going to come up, and that's going to bring things back into, equilibrium, or, dynamics are going to be brought back in balance. So, like I said, I just don't like when I hear us as adults label kids, he's that, he's this, he's that. No, it's biology, and we can just like if you get sick with a fever, there's medicine for that. There's things you can do. All right, so till next time, that was it. Short, just continuing off the first video. I'm a little tired. I had a long day. Peace.